Welcome to the Four Corners series for Workers and Resources Soviet Republic, and we are picking up on the 12th of July 1913. And as usual, a big thank you for your comments and feedback. You guys gave me a heck of a lot to think about because of your comments related to the wagon maker and the production of plastic, steel, mechanical components, electrical components, electronics. And what that did was trigger me to do a little bit of research on the engineering of the time. Now, this is going to be a bit of a long introduction, so if anyone wants to jump forward into the actual gameplay, feel free to follow the timestamp that's available now. I'm in a very lucky position because my great-grandfather was an engineer. He was a master engineer, which is equivalent to a chartered engineer today. My grandfather and my father were toolmakers. I started out with also studying as an engineer, but halfway through my apprenticeship when I was at college, I got very much into CDC machines, which involved computer programming. So I actually swapped over to become a software engineer. Not totally convinced my father ever forgave me for doing that. But that family connection has actually given me an opportunity to get an insight into the mind of an engineer in 1905. And the reason for that is my great-grandfather bought an engineering handbook. It's called Fowler's Mechanical Engineering's Pocketbook. And it was actually published in 1905. So the book I've been reading is literally 116 years old. It's still in pretty good condition, actually. It's been very well looked after during that time period. Although the cover's got a few scratches. It's actually got the Union Jack scratched on up in one corner for some reason. I'm not too sure why. But the interesting thing about this book is that it shows the sheer breadth of knowledge that an engineer in the early 1900s would have been expected to know. I mean, it covers everything from very detailed charts on how to do mathematics, including logarithms, a quick way to convert diameters into circumference and areas. Although, to be honest, it's all in imperial. Although there is actually an imperial to metric conversion chart in here, because it was very much an international book. It wasn't just for the UK. It's also got very detailed charts on how to cut screw threads, which is something that even I remember learning, although when I learned it was metric. But to give an idea of the breadth, it also goes on to talk about the use of electricity in mining. Remember, this is in 1905. And it also goes on to provide very detailed technical specifications for steam engines and boilers, which of course were the main source of power at that time. But what I do want to read you guys is a definition in this book that's for the gas engine. And the reason I want to read this is to see whether you can actually see whether the definition is familiar. So if I just get straight into it, it says the Bois-de-Ruche cycle. With few exceptions, modern gas engines work on a four-stroke cycle of operation invented by Mons et Bourrochet in 1862. It was not until when Mr. Otto reinvented the cycle, along with an arrangement of engine sufficiently perfect in detail, that the cycle was the first put into practice. The majority of the engines constructed to work on this cycle of operations have a single open-ended cylinder fitted with a trunk piston connected to a crankshaft in the usual manner. In the combustion chamber at the closed end of the cylinder are placed four valves, usually of the conical seated lift type. These valves being actuated by cams on a valve shaft driven at half the speed of the crankshaft. According to the particular event, they control these valves are termed the air, gas, ignition and exhaust valves respectively. The consequence of this event is as follows. During the suction stroke, a mixture of air and gas is drawn into the cylinder. During the following compression stroke, the mixture of the air gas is compressed into a clearance space of closed end of the cylinder. During the power stroke, the energy developed by the combination of the compressed mixture and the air gas performs useful work. During the exhaust stroke, the production of combustion are exhausted to the atmosphere. Now, I think most of you can gather the fact that that is a very old definition of what effectively the engines that are still used in cars today. So I think that clearly illustrates that 115 years ago, the basic design of the internal combustion engine as we know it was pretty clearly defined, and it's hardly changed over the entire period. Following that is a whole series of very complex diagrams and technical specifications on how these engines were built. Now, more interestingly, there is another section where the actual gases proposed to use in these engines is listed. And I just want to go through some of them just to illustrate the thinking of the time. And one of the biggest ones is actually natural gas. And although they describe the major component as marsh gas, and if I move on, you've got coal gas, and then they got the section which they call explosive mixtures, which contains something called Dawson gas, which, if looking at the chemical constitution of it, seems to be like a kind of impure version of hydrogen. There's another one called Mond gas, which seems to be a bit more pure version of hydrogen. Then more interestingly, there's one actually called water gas, which is 49% hydrogen. And it's actually produced by actually splitting water, which, if anyone knows their chemistry, is one of the ways that you actually do produce hydrogen. Now, that is the gas side. More interestingly, there is actually a subsection here where they talk about oil engines, and it says the crucial difference between gas engines and oil engines lies in the fact that the latter burns the gas which has been itself generated from the oil supplied to it. The effect of this vaporization and its equivalent is added to the gas engine, which in some designs may be thrown out of the action to permit the direct use of the gas from the external supply. Then moving on, it says the oils used in all engines are refined from the products of the American and Russian oil wells. In the process of distillation of benzene, gasoline and kerosene are evaporated in the order mentioned. The first gives off an inflammable vapor at a temperature of 11 degrees Fahrenheit. The temperature is known as the flash point of the oil, and which, for purposes of regulation of the petroleum industry, is the interest of public safety fixed by law. Gasoline has a flash point of 32 degrees Fahrenheit and kerosene 77 degrees. Gasoline and kerosene are chiefly used in oil motors, and the former of these motors is used for the light vehicular traffic and latter for larger diesels. And then there's a follow-up section on what they call heavier oil engines, which is actually what we would now call today a diesel engine. And quite interestingly, this book actually has diagrams of the vaporizers, and of course what most people would know that now is either the carburetor or the fuel injection systems used on modern engines. The reason I've actually gone through all this is to give you an insight into the sheer range and experience of engineers. Now, to put this into context of this game, is that this blacksmith, I've called him a blacksmith, but he does actually employ engineers. And in a very long roundabout way, I'm going to get down to the actual rules that I'm going to use as applied to the wagon maker. Apologies for that circuit, but I'm so fascinated, but I'm still reading the book actually. It gives such a fascinating insight to the mind of engineers at that time. So the rules I'm going to be using going forward is based on some of the suggestions you made. And I think what confused me when I looking at this is I forgot that I could actually delete some of the resources from here. So going forward until a certain time period, if the plastics and electronics actually build up, we're going to delete those. So we're not going to use those either to sell or store. Using that approach will mean we'll be able to keep the other components in check. But the electro components and the mechanical components, and this comes back to what I've just been talking about, the skill of these engineers, are things that an engineer working in their own workshop would be capable of producing even in 1913. So if these fill up, what we're going to do is just transfer them to this warehouse here. But we're not going to sell them. What we're going to do is just use them as a community would use them, as produced by their own engineers. So that's the base rule we're going to be using at the moment. But there's a couple other rules I want to add on. The first one is that this blacksmith will only produce wagons. When the petrol-driven vehicles start to arrive, the rule's going to be that we can only buy them from outside until such time as we get a production facility that can actually produce motorized vehicles. So we're not going to be buying the templates for the vehicles. To give an example, I could buy the template for the Peugeot Type 64 vehicle here because it's now available for dollars. You can see because it's not obviously registered as a vehicle available in Russia. You can see from the resources required to manufacture, I could probably make a few of those going forward, but the rule's going to be that this building is only going to produce wagons, and the overflow of electronic and electrical components will only be available while we are actually producing wagons. So I'm not going to be using this as a budget production system for mechanical and electrical components. This is just going to be any surplus that comes from there. So that's the rules I'm going to be using going forward. I think it will work, and to me it fits with my sense of immersion. And if any of you are looking at the steel is going to be totally reserved for the production of wagons, because that's the way it would be. Apologies if you think that was a bit over the top, but to be honest, I really just wanted to kind of get that off my chest and get it sorted going forward with a definite rule set. So that is the main thing that you've mentioned. Somebody did mention that up here, that if I rebuilt this warehouse, I would get my crops back. I'm kind of in two minds. I'm just going to leave it in template mode for the moment still, until maybe I will rebuild it in the future. But I don't really want to. Do that unless it becomes absolutely necessary. I think that now we can actually get down to doing a little bit of gameplay. We're just going to let the game run forward on normal speed, because I need to do a couple of things here. I really want to sort out logging here, and in fact somebody actually posted a comment saying that the game has a habit of ignoring the trees that in this area, but we're actually going to knock some of these trees down, but I'll talk a bit more about that. The next thing I actually want to do is I've actually come up with a name for the village in this area. If I can actually find the name. Where's the name gone? I mean, where was it called? It's called, where's the name? Oh, there it is there. I want to create a city area here. And what we're actually going to do is, I'm going to call it here. We're actually going to call it Titusville. I think that's the correct spelling. Now, for anyone who doesn't know what the significance of Titusville is, and it comes back from reading the 1905 handbook, is Titusville is actually in Pennsylvania, and it is actually the site of the beginning of the oil industry in the US, because I think it was in 1850 something, I think it's 58, 59, I think. Oil was actually discovered on the surface of a place called Oil Creek, which was very close to Titusville. So in some ways, when most people think about the oil industry in America, they always think of Texas and Alaska and places like that. But it really all started in quite a quiet place in Pennsylvania. So I thought what I'll do is I'll actually just add that in there for a little bit of fun. I don't know if I can remove you now. Can I remove you? Yes, I can. So this village is going to have an association with oil. So we're actually going to call this Titusville. Now, the problem I've got up here is I did a bit of a calculation with these large fields, and this silo is not going to cut it, really. So, although, to be honest, I'm not sure that I'm going to be able to get it built in time, because we are working on this here. But I think what I'd like to do is get a second silo in here. Even if we do get losses in the first year. Where is it? I've got to find it. And I don't want to go too far over the top, so I'm just going to kind of slip that in there like that. I think, well, we're just going to speed the game up. I think we can. Oops, that's the farm one. Where's the construction office? Yeah, I think you're on the unfinished road, so I'll just get you onto that. We're going to need this guy on there as well. I really need to sort my construction offices out, and you need concrete, so we're going to need to assign you up as well. I mean, I've kind of run the jobs down now. Whether that is going to be finished by the time these crops start coming in is pretty debatable. You can see we haven't quite got it here. Now, down here, at the end of the last video, I was kind of saying I wasn't happy with this. So I've hatched a strategy. Oh, I'm still building that road there. What I'm going to do is I want to move this store. I'm going to put in a... I don't want to put a store there. And I want to put another one just this side. That. And then we're just going to hook this through the mud roads. And then, again, we're going to assign this to there, because these don't need resources. And what I'm going to do is move this store here to here. And we're going to demolish this. And then out here somewhere, we're going to put in another log harvesting building with a bigger capacity than just one vehicle. And then the idea is going to be is that what I'll be able to do is if I can get it positioned properly, when I knock this down, because what we're going to do is put it in, build it, and then we're going to knock this down, and then I'm hoping that I will be able to get the factory connection into there. Whether it works or not is another matter. And what I'm probably thinking is to have something similar to this up here, as I've got up here. Let me just see, look at my notes. Second sign of fallen trees. Wood cutting posts. I think I've covered everything I need to do. So what we've got to do now is just get down to actually playing the game more detail. I'm still inclined at the moment to come down this way. See, this has already been built. What I'm going to do is we're going to put that there. We're going to put this to about, what's the tonnage of the bricks here? 13 tons. So I want to put this to say 14 tons. I don't want steel in here like that. So if we wait to set this to 16 tons, and then what we're going to do is allocate you to there. We're going to take the bricks, and we're just going to start with say 59%. And we're going to take the bricks off of there. Now if this gets built, so how much have we got in the way of steel here? We've got 9 tons of steel there. I think 9 tons of steel would be quite adequate. This is going to cost me a little bit of money. What I do need to do is take the steel off. There's no steel here. We need to make sure that these don't have bricks. So, because otherwise it would get delivered in bricks here. Then we're going to add you to there, and you're going to unload steel again. With this one we're going to put to 90%. So while this is being empty, these will fill up with the resources, and then once we got some resources in here, I'll split the construction offices over to here that need to, and then I'll demolish this building here. That's what we're working on. Got this here, so we are graveling in the roads here. It's just that it's taking a little bit of a time. So the harvest has started. We've got the harvest underway here. And these guys are going out this way. I'm still debating on how we're going to expand Titusville. I mean, at the moment we've got the apartment here. We've got most of the basics in. I've got to remember now because it's a little while. So we've got a 5-story apartment, got an opera house, we've got a school block, doctor's factory, and a kindergarten. I am considering something else to put in here, which if I show you here, if we go to factory, I've got to, if I remember correctly, somewhere in here is actually a village chemist. I can find them. Hunting hut. Yeah, somebody did mention a hunting hut, but as you can see, it needs alcohol and a little bit of food to produce meat. Yeah, let's have a look at that. Maybe that could be an option. So we've got a tannery here that will produce fabric, but But the thing I don't like about the tannery is it uses we need chemicals. Here we are. This is the one that I'm thinking of. This is actually a building. It's a chemical lab. Really and truthfully, a building of this size is more of an apothecary. And again, historically, many towns and villages had the local apothecary. These were the people that traditionally would have brewed up medicines which the doctor would have prescribed, some of them quite lethal. That's one of the reasons why it doesn't happen today. Interesting, these would have also made the chemicals used around the house, like cleaning chemicals and bleaches and things like that, because you've got to remember in the 1900s, chemical factories as such didn't really exist that much. Most of it was brewed up fairly locally from local produce, and of course some of it was pretty unpleasant. All you have to be is near an old-fashioned tannery to know that. And of course, one of the other things they used to make, which is now highly illegal, it was certainly in the UK, but probably most countries of the world, they used to make the fireworks. So they would actually quite happily be mixing up the nitrates to make the gunpowder to make fireworks, which is, I found, is a very interesting thing. I mean, you imagine modern health and safety now. If you turn around and say there's a shop on the high street who's actually making their own fireworks in the back in the back room. I just love history, especially the mechanical, what you could call the industrial history. Generally, the other types of history are interesting, but industrial history fascinates me. And to be honest, if you read some of the things that used to go on, especially in the Victorian era, you actually start to wonder whether how people actually managed to survive. We need to focus on. I think what we can do is I'm just going to add that factory connection. It's a little bit kind of optimistic, but I think we're going to be okay. I want to check the food. Money wise, we're kind of, I think we're just slipping away a little bit now because I've bought that steel in. So we do really need to get this local production to go into, because at the moment, and because what I would ideally like to do is stay over 500,000 rubles while we've got these two villages running, because getting out here to kind of develop the oil fields and the other industries in this area is going to be fairly expensive. What I'd like to do is if we could get this finished. Boards, come on guys, you can deliver the boards. Again, it comes back to this. See, we really need this guy going a little bit more efficiently. Of course, we're getting a few more logs in here because of course we're bringing the logs down from up here. We may have to resort to possibly, if I say for example, if I add you to where have you gone? Say for argument's sake, if I add you to there, they were. I mean, these guys up here are effectively doing nothing. If we get a few more logs coming down into here, that would keep this sawmill busy. I know some of you would say, oh, you should be min-maxing this out as much as possible, but you've got to remember is that in this time period, life was pretty chaotic. It wasn't the slick just-in-time delivery systems and all the other things that used to happen in there. I mean, life was a little bit, well, it was a little bit more relaxed as well, and people weren't stressed out all the time. I think what we can do is, I'm just trying to think. We just sneak that little bit of road in there. I think you're probably going to need an assistance to build that. I think if we could build this through here, then I can come back and make these connections here as well. That connection there as well. I think what we might do is just double down a little bit here and just put that there as well. That shouldn't affect the harvest. I mean, these guys are doing quite well at the moment, and hopefully we should be filling up our crops here. We should be okay. We got crops coming in over here. Why aren't you picking up? I just wish that these would default to 90%. I think what I have to do, if this fills up, to try and if this isn't built, what we may have to do is resort to a possibility of having to ship the crops down to here. I mean, might have a little bit of space over here. I think the other thing I wouldn't mind doing is getting some more cupboard holes built. If we get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I'm just going to go for it, because of course we got the crops, should be getting the crops delivered here, so we should be able to get some production going here. So we still got, it's going to take a little while to empty this out. I think what I'm going to do is I'd like to speed this process up. So already assigned. Okay, you're double delivering, are you? New Hope storage there. Board store. It's this one here, isn't it? I'm going to tell you to load steel and bricks there. Pick that, remove that, and then think we're just going to manually empty this completely, just to make that extra capacity. Whoops, no. Wrong one. Right, we need to get... And this guy now needs to pick up from the steel needs to be picked up from here, and the bricks need to be picked up from here. You guys don't need to pick up steel and bricks anymore. We're just going to go through and sort these out. In fact, you don't need to pick up boards either, and you don't need to pick up gravel as well. If I do this, I've got a better idea of what is picked up because you've got no dumpers. This guy, you need asphalt and gravel. I think you need to go just on general supplies, so you need to come to there and there. And of course this guy here is also on the breeze. In fact, I'll be very tempted to flip these guys to, so you're going to pick up steel there and you're going to pick up the bricks from there. Not sure exactly sure why you've got prefabs there, but we've got that there. Let me just check. I mean, this guy's got, I think I need to really rebalance this here as well. Got dumper, open hole, open hole. Where's the open hole? Yeah, you're there. You go to there. So we got horse drawn there. We got a couple of 3 dumpers, and we got an open hole there. And so that means there's a space for a dumper. I don't know if I got any. Wow. We got open hole, 2 horse covered hole here. These are my kind of quasi backup vehicles. What are you picking up? You're all dumpers here. Very tempted to take one of these and send you over to here into there. And then what we can do is fill out this one with dumpers later on. That road finished? Yeah, it's finished, so just keep pushing this through here. Keep hearing a noise like it could be. I think this guy's going to need an assistant as well. I was hoping that it would build that, but obviously it won't. We just keep filling this in here. We've now got nobody lives here, so we've now got the necessary accommodation. We've actually got some factory here. I'm just going to reduce the workers here. So we're actually now producing fabric. You need boards, so you are new to there. You're probably going to need a workforce as well, so going to come to there. What I will do sometime off camera is sort these construction offices out. I think I need to have various combinations according to what I want to allocate and go forward now. I think what we're going to do is, in the short term, I'm going to stop importing bricks and steel because these have filled up. Can I just increase that to 100%? This to 100% at the moment. I'm going to change these to 90, 100%. And what we're going to do is just pull everything out of here for the moment so that I can empty this out. So instead of, we need something that's going to use a lot of bricks. When I mean, this has got 27 tons of bricks. We could build another apartment. This doesn't need bricks. What's about here? The microbrewery needs bricks, so maybe we can get these guys on microbrewery. We're just going to use those bricks up. Might as well. So we'll start building a microbrewery. When it's not connected, it's going to be connected there, so we can feel fairly confident it won't get it there. I think let's just go into here. See, this doesn't need bricks, this just needs steel, but we should be able to haul the steel out here. You need gravel and boards, so boards is the problem. What I got here, horse feeding station, and we actually got, okay, we need to build that as well, but this is going to be the priority. Right, this guy's filling up. I think what we're going to do is add you as an emergency overflow of crops, because you've got space. We're on September at the moment. Let me just check what's fabric crops, horse feeding station. I think at the moment we're just putting these things up and this up. We've got the spare capacity over here, but we'll just have to see how it goes. Ooh. So we'll just build this in here, and I'd like to fill in that little gap there, but as I say, I think if we can build through here, I mean this is going to be a bit dodgy because it's a footpath in there. So what we'll probably do is build to here, go up to there first and get that done. Do we have any power problems? I get a bit worried when that flashes up. No, we're okay power wise. Actually, just do, oops. So we've got 16 tons there, 19 tons there. Got 7 tons, 21 tons, 17 tons there, 19 tons there. What we got here? We got 2 tons of fabric at the moment. So we're actually consuming these crops. I think at the moment, just to get a little bit of cash going, and so that we can just clear that. And we're just going to pick up from here. We're just going to export a little bit of fabric. It's not so much to make money, it's more to, is to kind of keep consuming the crops that are going in there so that they all get delivered. How are we doing over here? I think we're slowly consuming the bricks here. And we'll get that here. Actually, I wonder if I could place the building here. And just to give a bit of a trial run, we need mine. And what I'm looking for is something like that. This is the office that I'm currently using in my 7 Corners series. It's a little bit modern, but it does represent an escalation of industry. If I was to put that there, I can't build due to infrastructure. If we put that there, I think I've just scared away the guy there. He's going to go out there. And of course, we can't connect this up to a road, and we're going to put a gravel road in here. So we got this building here, and I'm hoping that eventually we'll be able to kind of connect that up to that, because it won't connect while this is running. And what we need to do is empty this out. Clothing factory is coming together. Storage there, and we can get this built. We can then start pulling out the steel and bricks to the microbrewery. How are we doing here for workers? 98%. So our population is just topped 1,000, and we've got 540 workers here. And 1,000 is roughly the number of people I want in here. But we got space for, say 1,300 people all tops put together, which is probably a bit over the top, so we may not build this building. I'm kind of quite happily whacking out these covered holes at the moment. So at the moment this is staying in balance. I'm happy with that. I think this is something we're gonna have to keep an eye on, because at the moment the crops are being consumed as fast as they can be done here. Where we are going to get the losses is here, because we've got lots and lots of crops here. W boards, yes. I think what I bought, oh, I've already shut that down. Where did you come from? You're just delivering there, which is kind of half keeping this board production going. We got a little bit in the way of boards coming in. These guys have got nothing to do. I don't want you sat around doing nothing. Yeah, I think what's happened is that they're not interested in this. What we're going to do is I'm just going to go for that longer section there, because that should be, these guys should be able to build this on its own. We keep building in the long sections, then we can, when things go quiet, we can use the crew from here. Although these guys don't have that much, but we do need them to be able to get out over here. Right, this road is finished. What we're going to do is go big time. Why is that? Yeah, it's just going to run that to there, and get you onto building that for the moment. Are you contributing? Nope, wait. You contributing to that and that? Crazy guys. So at the moment we've just got 227 tons out here. I think even 600 tons isn't going to take all the output from here, is it? No, well, I suppose nearly. If we, I mean, eventually what I'll do is I'll get one of these to move the crops down to here. I mean, we are building up very slowly. All we've got to do now is get that 8 tons of steel over to here. Have you got all the steel you need? See if all this steel gets delivered. Because what we could do is, if these guys still need steel, you could kind of put you onto here, and then you can go and grab the steel. Yeah, 0.74 tons of steel here. We just need a workforce out here now. Make sure this guy is assigned to it. Yep, he is assigned to it. Boards is going to be the problem. So we've got this lovely cargo station here, but we can't use it just at the moment. So we got that stuck there. I think what I am going to do is just pause. I'm just going to flip that, and we're going to try and keep you on. So, right, we've now got production from the perspective of clothes. All rated vehicles, where are you? Where are you, guy? Right, I'm just going to put you there. How much money did we make from that? This little enterprise exports. Made about 5,000, which probably offsets the cost of me. But what we're going to do is get this guy to drop off another 1,000's worth of goods, and then he can go back to here. let him sell the clothes. Not clothes, sorry, fabric. And he can just slide into here. And you can go to there. And that means that what we should be able to do now is start producing the clothes from here. We got a little truck that wanders backwards and forwards. Oh, we might put him on other jobs. Yeah, oh, we might have a problem here. Okay, you've got a job. Unload, wait until unloaded. Actually, I just had a thought. Yeah, we got spare clothes here. Yeah, we still got 5.85 tons of clothes there. Right, so it's back to here. Yeah, I think I've frightened myself unnecessarily there. I think what we will do is just let that guy run into the shop there. I've got a feeling it's who's importing the clothes. Let me just check. Here, got collection. Just have a quick run through. No, you're just food storage. Bitumen distro. Aggregates. Right. Yeah. Okay, we don't actually need this guy, so we need to take him off there and put you onto there. Your job is going to be to load clothes all the time. And I think because we got so much in the way of clothes, we could probably sell a few clothes, make some more money, not on a loan. What do we get for clothes? I think if we sell a few tons of clothes, but what I'm going to have to do is keep an eye on this here so that we don't actually run out. Got a little bit of steel in here. Don't understand why this guy's not. I mean, he's got the vehicles in here. Did I cancel? You hope bricks. Did I remove you? No, cancel. It's already assigned. What are you? New hope storage small. Oops, it says I've got aluminium there instead of steel. Right, you guys just move that steel out there. I'd like to get that this sorted before we actually finish the video. There we got the boards here being delivered. It's got no workers. Isn't that fun? Right, we got this guy quite happily putting those roads together. This guy, this one should be delivering almost exclusively to. Yeah, okay, let me do the other thing also is these things have I built. No place for final vehicle. In some ways that's good. See, we've got plastics. Right, what we're going to do is just do the first thing we said is we're just going to. Oh, we can delete a bit of that. Keep that going. I mean, I know we got 2.24 tons of. So we can just leave that still there for the moment. Right, this is now empty, so we're going to demolish you. That means that this should be automatically removed from here, because it no longer exists. And Oops, need, but I'm going to cancel that road there. This is where I find out that the road won't connect to there, but it does. It's brilliant. And then what we need to do is assign this guy to steel for imports. And I think brick wise we could probably drop that down to say 60% or 50%, and steel wise we could probably drop this. There's 50% there, but I think if we drop that down to 60% as well, I don't want to bring in too much in the way of steel and that to go, but we can build this. This needs gravel boards and steel, so we need to get this. We need to build this road first, because I'll definitely want a gravel connection to here, because when we first start out we're going to need that higher speed connection here. What else are you guys working on? You're working on the microbrewery, so you don't have another job just at the moment. I think I'd like to get you out to there as well, so you can work on 2 roads at the same time. We'll just keep filling this out this direction. I mean, we're on the 22nd of October, so we've kind of got all our crops in from this side, but the problem is going to be here. I think we're going to take quite bad losses from here. I mean, we've got 227 from here, but you can see we got 60 tons in there, 61 tons. I could do a bit of a desperate surge here. I don't think I've really got the... actually, you've got 9 tons there, you've got 9 tons there. I think what I wouldn't mind doing is just trying to 83 tons there. This is just a little bit of desperation, is to get these guys out to bring in whatever they can. So we are building up some clothes here now. As I say, once we start to build the surplus here, we'll be okay. Kind of reluctant to sign more board construction for this, because I'd like to get this finished, and this needs boards. So I think I'm going to just let the work run down now for the moment. This is going to need concrete steel boards, and everything's going to need to go into this so that we can get the board production up. Because of course we got winter coming, and we don't have that much in the way of flies here as well. So I really need to get focused in on this, get this done. I've just realized that I'm running out of time on this video, so this is where I'm going to leave it. Hope you enjoyed the video, hope you found it interesting, and until next time, whatever you do, enjoy your gaming.